So today we are going to discuss about the current affairs which was in news related to geography and environment as such. First is the Mount Semeru volcanic eruption. Mount Semeru, we know that we have several islands in Indonesia. So for example, you have Sumatra Island near the Andaman Nicobar Island of India, and then further to the east if you go, you will find Java Island, and on the Java Island you will find one of the active volcano that is called as Mount Semeru. So when Mount Semeru erupted, we can see a huge amount of ash particles were sent in the atmosphere. So basically you can say it is a kind of ash cloud. Ash is made up of very small fine particles that is generated due to the heat of magma when the rocks basically disintegrate and melt. Plus apart from that, also large amount of pyroclastic material, as it is referred as, that means the small to large size rock fragments also were thrown out at high intensity, with high intensity, that makes up the large amount of debris as such. So this is why this entire topic was news, and Semeru keeps coming in news because it is one of the active volcano in the world, also situated along the circum-Pacific ring itself. If we talk about the overall basics of volcano, we know that volcanic eruption largely happens due to the movement of magma. Magma is nothing but a molten rock, and this molten rock under high pressure and high temperature moves beneath the earth. Because it is of low density, it tries to rise in the upward direction, and when it passes through the rock of the crust, it causes melting of the rocks and then finally erupts in the form of volcanic eruption. Now, not all magmas are of the same type. We have also hot and low density magma. We also have, we can say, less hotter and high density magma as such. So depending on what is the density of magma, what is the viscosity of magma, is the temperature of magma, the rate of rise towards surface also varies. And this makes sense because if you try to understand, if magma is having low viscosity, it means it is more thin, it will be able to flow through at a faster speed. Similarly, if a magma is very thick and viscous, it will flow through at a slower speed. Now, magma basically before erupting above the earth's surface gets collected in what you can call as magma chamber. Magma chamber generally is located below the crustal rock as such. And as more and more magma keeps on accumulating here, it tries to build pressure above the crust, below the crustal rock. It start to then finally create cracks in the crust, and through the cracks and breaks in the crust, it finally erupts and rises above the surface. Now, as long as this molten rock is below the earth's surface, it is referred by the term magma. But once it reaches above the earth's surface, the general term that geologists and geographers use is lava. So basically magma, lava, both are same. It depends on where you are referring to them. Below the surface magma, above the surface lava. Now, if we try to understand about the eruption that has happened in the Mount Semeru, we have seen it is a very intense and explosive eruption. The extent or the type of eruption, whether it will be of low intensity or high intensity, depends upon the composition of magma. Basically, if magma has higher composition of silica, it means the viscosity of magma will be quite high. They will flow at a slow speed. If they flow at a slow speed, gases will have enough time to build sufficient pressure, and finally when the pressure is released from the volcanic vent, it causes sudden expansion of gases, and this sudden expansion causes such type of eruption where a huge plume of ash, dust particle, volcanic core ash, tephra, everything is ejected out at a high intensity as such. So basically the magma composition to large extent determine the nature of eruption. Overall heat movement beneath the earth is considered as the main reason behind the eruption of magma as such. Again, if silica content is low, in that case the viscosity of magma will be less. If silica content is high, viscosity of magma will also be high, and that determines the overall flow rate of magma as such, right. If you try to understand about, we have discussed that in volcanism, okay. If we talk about the thin magma, where thin magma erupts, so Hawaiian volcano is where we have thin and runny magma, and in that kind of magma gas is able to escape easily. If gas is escaping easily, the gentle flow of lava will be seen. That is the case of Hawaiian island as such, right. So that is the thing. If the magma is thick, sticky in nature, gases get trapped, and if gases get trapped, you have highly explosive eruption, as we have seen in the case of Mount Semeru in recent times in Indonesia. Next topic is related to the solar storm. Again, we have covered that in the first class itself, talk about coronal mass ejections and all that, right. So solar storms related to auroras. Why was it news? Because recently scientists have recently they have found evidence of solar storm CMEs this hitting the outer atmosphere of the earth itself. Especially in the northern hemisphere, we know that when these charged particles coming from the sun interact with the gases that is present in your atmosphere, it causes burning of these gases. So you have nitrogen gases, oxygen gases. When these gases burn, what do they emit? They emit energy in the form of light, and they largely emit this in the wavelength of blue to pink, and that is why in the Arctic Circle, in the Antarctic Circle, you see a phenomena that is called as aurora. And this auroras nowadays, what we are seeing is the intensity of solar eruption has increased. If intensity is increased, that means now we are seeing auroras far beyond general region of Arctic as such. Like recently in United Kingdom, for the first time, people have witnessed aurora. Why? Because the magnetic solar storm, the intensity of solar storm was very high in nature. So the intensity determines up to what areas auroras will be witnessed as such. This also has to do with the solar cycle. Solar cycle is a period of 11 years. Okay. If you remember, in Earth we have talked about geomagnetic polarity reversal. Currently we talk about Earth has north magnetic pole toward geographical north, south magnetic pole toward geographical south. We know that over a period of thousands of years, what happens? They flip. The north pole will be toward geographical south, south pole will be toward geographical north. In case of sun, that happens very frequently. The magnetic pole of sun flips every 11 years. So this is called as magnetic cycle as such. And whenever sun is in the phase of magnetic cycle, magnetic reversal, there is large number of sunspot. Okay, the intensity of sunspot or the number of sunspot increases and decreases. Sunspot is basically the region through which you have the ejection of highly charged particles as such. That is the place where magnetic field is basically weaker. If magnetic field is weaker, it will not be able to hold the solar basically storms or the ions in the plasma and all that, and that is why what will happen? You will have higher number of solar flares being ejected, plus the intensity of solar flares will also increase as such, right? That means we can say the one region behind the emission of solar flare by sun is disturbance in what? Disturbance in the magnetic field line, and this causes the sudden energy burst. Okay, strong radiation is observed, and we know, we have discussed that if CME, that is coronal mass ejection, or the solar flares, if they are able to reach very close to the Earth's surface, what would they disrupt? Radio communication, because you have the interaction between energy waves, right? It will also knock satellite off their orbit. It will also cause threat to astronauts, because large scale, or we can say high intensity radiation is coming toward them. So radiation sickness you can see, or we can see what DNA damage we can see, okay, if they are directly exposed to such kind of radiation. So radio disturbances, satellite disturbances, and the safety of astronauts can be compromised if solar flares of high intensity are being observed. The term that we use is coronal mass ejection, that refer to largely release of which kind of substances? Plasma. We know that it is fourth stage of matter, neither solid nor liquid nor gas. Okay, so the release of plasma largely from the magnetic field areas, okay, where magnetic field is ejected, and this is seen from the corona region. If you remember, we have discussed the outermost layer of the sun is referred as corona. There is a mystery also related to corona, that is temperature of this region is extremely high, 1 million to 3 million degrees Celsius, right? If you go before, it is 6,000 degrees Celsius. So sudden high temperature of corona is something that we have not been able to explain till now. But anyway, from corona we have the emission of ejections, plasma material, that is called as CME. With high velocity, it is launched toward space as such, and most of times solar flares, coronal mass ejection happens at the same time, because to some extent both are related with which kind of field? Magnetic field as such. So CME can cause much more greater extent of damage, because they can directly interfere with the power grids of the earth. They can knock off the power grids and cause disruption in the power distribution systems and all that. So we have to be aware about that. So overall, in brief, you can say solar storms are a result of geomagnetic disturbances. Okay, it can actually this create disturbances in geomagnetic field, Earth's magnetic field, caused by CME plus solar wind interaction. Overall, we have seen that Earth is surrounded by magnetic field as such, right, like this. So Earth's magnetic field is generally uniformly distributed. This is the Earth. When the solar flare or CME hits it, what happens? Magnetosphere of the Earth gets compressed. That means shape changes. Okay, again, if you look at, this is the Earth. So this side it will get completely compressed, and this side will have the tail-like structure, because it is kind of pushed away. So the Earth's magnetic field, which is uniformly distributed, changes in which manner? This manner. Compression on this side and extension on the other side as such. So magnetosphere is compressed and charged particles enter the polar atmosphere. Again same thing, where they will interact with what? The gaseous atoms present in the atmosphere, where they will cause burning, where they will cause aurora. Aurora, we have discussed two types of aurora, aurora borealis and aurora australis, okay, in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So that is the solar storm. Same thing, natural light display, ion collision with two gases we have discussed, nitrogen and oxygen, okay, and that is responsible for which color? Largely green, pink is reddish kind of pink you have. Yeah, blue, yellow is there, but it is very rare, it is not generally seen as such from the naked eye especially. Third is International Big Cat Alliance was in news because recently we have held a summit, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change as such, right? And because of this summit, that is a COP30 summit that was held in Brazil, where in Brazil, question can be asked, recent COP summit was held in which place? Answer is Belém in Brazil as such, okay, under United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So it is in this context we have to understand and look at International Big Cat Alliance. Now, why we are talking about this? Because in this summit, India has announced it will held a global big cat summits in next year 2026, where it will be held? New Delhi, that is the first thing. Second, India has released a report here, that is One Earth, One Family, One Future report. This report is largely related to the action India has taken in last one decade related to climate change. For example, mitigation measure, adaptation measure, or climate finance measure as such. Whatever India has done, they have basically put it in the report. What are the steps India has taken at the national scale to fight the climate change and all. Overall, it has also given a vision of Viksit and Sustainable Bharat 2047 as such. Okay, you will have in the notes. Okay, you have to focus on understanding more. Okay, whatever you are writing, everything is given in the notes. Okay, you can refer from there itself. Then next is, if you look at the big cats, what is the reason we are discussing about it? Simple, India announced they will held global big cat summit in year 2026. When I talk about big cats mean there are right now there are 5 species are there which are considered as big cat, and majority of the, I think 7 out of 5 species are present in India itself, right? So if you look at the big cats, what is important? First of all, they are considered as apex predator. What is apex predator? No one hunt them, they are hunting everyone else as such. Apex predator means there is no predator for these animals, these cats as such. No one you would have seen hunting lion, for example, or hunting tiger, for example. That is why apex predator. And their presence maintains ecological balance. How? These are the predators who are controlling the population of herbivorous animals, right? So if suppose that number of lions decline, number of tigers decline, number of deers, cheetahs, all this will increase. They will start grazing upon everywhere on the grasses, eating leaves and all that. What will happen? Forest will get degraded. So ecological balance is maintained by having a adequate or healthy predator to prey ratio as such, right? Neither the predator population should increase much nor the prey population should increase much. Climate resilience, again, because how you can reverse or control the effect of global warming? By having large area under forest, grasslands and all. So if their population decline, what will happen? Forest degradation you would see, grassland erosion you would see. What will happen? Climate change will not be properly managed as such, right? Healthy forest grassland, that is the indicator of if the population is high, it means the forest and grassland will be in the healthy state. That is what it indicates. Watershed will be protected, because if you talk about the tiger reserves that you have in India, what you have done? You have protected the entire area, and we are not only focused upon protecting the species, animal species, we also focus on protecting the entire habitat, right? So, for example, if water body is there, what will happen? You will ensure that it is protected as such, because in tiger reserves, entry of humans are not allowed for economic purposes, for water extraction purposes, or for example, this grazing purposes and all that. If suppose tiger population decline, there is no point on having tiger reserves. What will happen? The area of tiger reserve will shrink. What will happen? More and more entry of humans you would see there. Due to this, what humans will start do? Extract or over extract water. That will lead to what? Decline in the watershed, okay, water areas and all. Carbon storage, okay, same thing we have discussed. So overall, maintaining a healthy population of big cat is very important in presenting nature-based solution to cater the climate change or tackle the climate change as such. Okay, that is what largely India is trying to point toward. Now coming to IBCA, that is International Big Cat Alliance. Now India has led a global coalition to protect and conserve number of big cats across the world, and today more than 95 plus countries are member of this particular IBCA, International Big Cat Alliance. As such, it has both kind of country, range country plus non-range country. What is range country? Where animals are originally found. Non-range countries are where animals are not there but they might enter. Okay, why? Because entire forest might be connected together. So that is why it has both kind of membership. When was it launched? 2023. Why? To celebrate 50 years of Project Tiger. You might have studied in climate, environment and biodiversity. Project Tiger was launched in year 1973. Okay, the objective was to first of all reduce the number of tiger killings and then later on increase the number of tiger population by 2 times. Okay, so that was the objective. So to celebrate that, in 2023 we launched IBCA. Secretariat of IBCA is in New Delhi, India itself, and IBCA is managed by which organization? NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority, which works under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. These are the topic, basically facts that you have to keep in mind from examination perspective as such, right? That is the point. Now coming to the cat, International Big Cat Alliance. Which cats we are talking about here? Which are the species which are part of big cat group? Tiger, lion, leopard, cheetah, jaguar, puma, snow leopard. How many? 7. Out of these, 5 are found where? In India. Which are not found in India? Jaguar and puma. Except jaguar and puma, all other 5 are found in India. These you will find largely in which region? South America. Okay, jaguar, puma, both are found in the South America. Now, what was the objective with which International Big Cat Alliance was launched? 4 major objectives India highlighted here. First is to stop illegal wildlife trade, because a lot of animals, especially big cats, were killed for their body parts as such, which is very high in demand in the international market, black market and all that. Second, we have to focus not only on protecting the animals, we also have to conserve what? Their habitat. Okay, habitat means the area where they roam around, live, where they find their food, shelter, okay, water and everything like that. Second, we also have to mobilize both technical capacity and financial capacity to fulfill these objectives. So more and more funds are required to be given to the National Tiger Conservation Authority, for example, or Tiger Reserve, for example. Right? Technical means what you will do. For example, India has carried out M stripes. M stripe is a system they have used for tiger census. Okay, tiger census means basically how many tigers you have in a particular forest. How will you count it? That was done by M stripe as such. Okay, M stripes, why? Because every tiger has unique stripe, like every human has unique fingerprints. Not every no 2 tiger will have same stripe pattern. So you measure the stripe pattern, look at the stripe pattern, like take photograph. You have taken 10 photographs of a tiger in a forest. How would you know that it is the same tiger you have taken 10 times, photo of same tiger 10 times, or it's 10 different tigers? You will match the stripes. If all 10 stripes are different, it means there are 10 tigers. If there is only 5 stripes, that means you have taken photograph of only 5 tigers but 10 times. Okay, different, the same tiger different times. And overall, the focus also was to have mitigation effort to reduce the impact of climate changes. Mitigation means you have to take certain measures that overall reduces the factors contributing to climate change. For example, if you shut down industries, what will happen? Greenhouse gas emission is decreased. What is the example of mitigation? If you do not shut down power plant, for example, or industries, for example, rather you know that global warming will lead to sea level rise. So what you do? You shift your entire coastal population to the inland area. Example of adaptation, right? So 2 type of intervention you have. Mitigation is you are taking such measures to prevent anything to take place. Mitigation, adaptation is when you know that something will occur, you have to protect yourself. Okay, minimize the impact or damage as such. So here the focus was on which kind of effort? Mitigation effort as such, right? So that is the thing. Overall, if talk about IBCA, what is the total funding given by Government of India in last 5 years, or basically in the 5 year, 150 crore of funds will be dispersed to the respective authorities. Global cooperation we have discussed, because 95 plus countries are involved here already, right? It is also example of India is trying to present itself as a leader of southern hemisphere. So south-south collaboration, because in southern hemisphere large number of countries are there which is having all this big cat population, South America, Africa, okay, Southeast Asia, India, and so all these countries can come together. Research and technology exchange is something where they can participate in. It will overall enhance what? Biodiversity. Plus, as you are also focused on protecting the entire habitat, you are also are protecting what? You are also are protecting the forest area. If you are able to protect forest area, what would you ensure? It ensure carbon sink is maintained, because the forests are capturing carbon from atmosphere, storing it within forest. So, to some extent global warming, climate change can be also right, we can tackle it. Water security, that we have discussed. Next is the Ambaji marble. Recently India has received GI tag, that is geographical indication tag recognition. Okay, so recent you have here. So brief point about this we can talk. So first of all, Ambaji, you talk about Ambaji is a town in which state? Gujarat, where you have a district called as Banaskantha district. Okay, so question like this is asked because these places are in news. So match the following kind of question can be given. Ambaji, Rajasthan. Okay, you have to find true or false. So it is false. So many times such kind of questions you will see in the UPSC. Gujarat state also it is significant because it is one of the Shakti Peeth associated with the goddess Durga as such. Okay, so Ambaji, that is why Ambaji. Okay, Ambaji is the name of Durga, goddess Durga. Overall, it is part of Western India GIS mapping program as such. So origin and location. Now, why Ambaji marble has received GI tag? Because marble is not only found here. Marble is found across many parts of India, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. Okay, you have Aravali's, Vindhya ranges, Satpura ranges, right? Maharashtra. But what is unique about Ambaji marble? So first of all, marble do not have uniform color everywhere. Some marble are very white in appearance. Some marble are having yellowish and reddish of appearance. This marble is pure white in color. Marble in the exam, this classes we have discussed. Marble forms from which kind of rock? Limestone. Limestone is a sedimentary rock. Marble is metamorphic rock. So limestone is converting into marble. Why some marbles have pure white color, some have yellowish color? If limestone has impurity, what will happen? This impurity also will become part of marble. So they will give yellowish kind of color. If you have pure limestone means which kind of concentration should be high? Limestone is nothing but calcium carbonate. So if in the marble calcium carbonate is very high, what will have? Pure white color, because impurities are very low here, right? So exceptional sign you would see in the marble as such, like in Taj Mahal, if you look at the marble being used, what kind of marble? Pure white marble. Or if you go to this Mount Abu, where you have Jain temple, Dilwara Jain temple, there also they have used pure white marble as such, right? Dense crystalline structure you would see, and also because of lack of impurities, they are highly durable and resistant to weather as such. Okay, that means they will be able to last long period of time. Taj Mahal you see, almost how many years have passed? 300 years, okay, and still it is standing without any problem. Why? Because the quality of rock is very high as such, right? That is why this is very important. Geological aspect talk about same thing. Okay, already have discussed. Marble is an example of which kind of rock? Metamorphic rock. How do they form? Recrystallization of limestone under high pressure or high temperature. Both of this can create. What kind of compositions? Calcite, that is calcium carbonate as such. Why some marbles do not have pure white color? Impurities are present. What are the major impurities? Clay might be present here. Mica might be present here. Quartz might be present here. So presence of any of these will give yellowish to reddish kind of color to the marble as such, right? Same thing. Due to the minerals present here, color is varying, color changes and such. That is the point. If we talk about the Ambaji town itself and use of marble, overall in this area, mining is not something which is of recent nature. Marble has been mined since last 1200 to 1500 years as such. So there is a age-old mining history you would see in this particular town. Also it is believed that it is from this place marble was taken to construct, I told you example, Dilwara Jain temple, Mount Abu. Mount Abu we have discussed when we talk about Aravali range. Here you will find the highest peak of Aravalis and also highest peak of Rajasthan state called as Guru Shikhar. That is the same place. So Jain temple, Dilwara Jain temple you will find here. Because in temple, what you will prefer? Pure marble, pure white marble. So anywhere where temple architecture was earlier done in the old part of India, they prefer to take marble from this particular place itself. Okay, so that is the point. Religious structures is where the uses is there. Plus, because marble is being used in construction of so many structures. It will also promote what? Craftsmanship. So those people, not only for the temples also, statues are there which are being constructed from marbles, right? So many people you will find in these regions of Gujarat, Rajasthan, who from many years, from generation to generation, have been working in craftsmanship. Okay, they are carving out statues, carving out different figurines and all these things like that. So they also be promoted because GI tag has been given to this particular area, Ambaji town marble. Understand what is the significance here? If a foreign this vendor want to buy marble from India, what he will prefer? Which is having certain global recognition. What kind of global recognition? Best is GI tag. So he will not have to find from where to buy, which place to look out for. He will know that this place has GI tag, that means the marble must be of very high quality. He can simply punch the order, give the order, import the marble, right? So that means it will also help in increasing our export market, especially in US, okay, Miami, Los Angeles, Boston, a lot of marble demands we have there, okay, in those areas. Why? Because these areas are known for rich people. So when they are constructing in houses, okay, they want to put what? Marble, okay, they want to even take the statues of marble for decoration and all that. So that is why. Plus we also have seen demand increasing from countries such as New Zealand, England and all that. Okay, sacred architecture already have discussed, okay, is where the demand is coming from. Local employment generation it will help in, plus MSME stone processing clusters it will become part of, right? MSME is micro, small and medium enterprises. So they will train the craftsman in this area now more, and thus it is better for the local population. What is the benefit of GI tag? Same thing. Now no one can sell marble claiming it to be marble from Ambaji. Okay, so GI tag will help in protection of which kind of rights? Intellectual property rights as such. Second, it will strengthen the brand identity. Ambaji marble, okay, that is the kind of brand that you can see spread across globally, okay, popular globally. Anti-counterfeit safeguard will be ensured now here, because whenever GI tag is given, it becomes the additional responsibility of government to ensure that counterfeiting is not being done as such. So before exporting, they will first clarify and verify whether the marble originally has come from Ambaji or someone is trying to sell it from some other places by that name, right? Increased global competitiveness, artisan community livelihood boost, okay, same thing that we will discuss here. So these are all the benefits that we can take. The last topic is related to internal security, where you have seen induction of a naval ship by the name of INS Mahe. Mahe is a small town near the coast of Kerala. Okay, interestingly, though it is in the coast of Kerala, it is under the administrative control of which region? It is a part of Puducherry. Okay, Puducherry is union territory. It has 4 different administrative blocks, 2 in Chennai, 2 in Tamil Nadu. One, Puducherry itself is near Chennai. Second is Karaikal along the Tamil Nadu coast. Then you go to Andhra Pradesh, you have Yanam. Yanam in Andhra Pradesh, but is still part of which union territory? Puducherry. Mahe along Kerala coast, still part of which territory? Puducherry. Okay, so it has distribution across. So INS Mahe, it was in news, because it is commissioned into Indian Navy recently. It is a lead ship of Mahe class. Lead ship means for the first time a new class of ship is being inducted in the Indian Navy, and first ship of that class is Mahe itself. That is why we are calling it by the same name itself. Like Nilgiri class you would have heard about. Why Nilgiri class? Because Nilgiri was the name of first ship under that class. Then similar kind of ship were constructed in a later phases. Or INS Talwar class. The first ship was INS Talwar, then lot of such ships were constructed here. Similarly, Mahe is important because it is not only a ship, but it is the first ship of a particular variant, okay, particular category, and that is why it is referred as Mahe class. It is responsible for which kind of warfare? Anti-submarine warfare and overall protection of the coastal area, okay, coastal surveillance and all that. Overall, it will be helpful in what? Strengthening our coastal defense and submarine warfares and all that, okay, because now the threat around India, especially in the Indian Ocean region, has increased. Why? Because China is trying to build a lot of ports in different countries as such. It is trying to exert more and more influence by sending its navy, okay, in the Indian Ocean region. At the same time, we know that we have seen confrontation with Pakistan. Pakistan also is trying to strengthen its naval capability and all that. Plus Pakistan, Karachi port, India's Mumbai port, Goa port is very close. So in that case, if Pakistan try to attack, okay, or send its submarine and all that, China try to provide backup to them. In that case, such kind of ship will be helpful in protecting our coastal infrastructure and all that. So that is the point. The important thing is it is a very new generation ship responsible for which kind of combat? littoral combat. Okay, littoral means sometimes the term brown water is used, right? Like example, if we talk about this is the coast. What do we have here? This is very closer to the coast. Water depth is very less here. Okay, and because of the flow of river, what kind of color would you see here? If you've been to the beaches, okay, you'll see brown color of the water. If you go further far, what is the color? Blue color. So when you talk about the naval capability near the coast, we use the term which kind of navy? Brown water navy. If you are talking about warfare far away in the ocean, which term you use? Blue water navy. So INS Mahe is which kind of capability building we are talking about? Brown water, because it is responsible for which kind of combat? Littoral. Littoral means near the coast, where the water depth is not very high as such, right? So that is the point here. Now coming to other points about INS Mahe. First of all, it is not something that we have imported from somewhere. The entire ship has been built indigenously, that means within India itself. Okay, some components we might have imported from different countries, but overall, as per government report, 80% of ship is made up of which kind of content? Indigenous, that is developed, constructed, built, designed within India as such. And this is the goal of Indian defense sector also, that in the next coming years, whatever, right, we are building in the case of Army, Navy, Air Force, we can try to bring more and more indigenous content there, right? Which this organization has built it, basically Shipyard has built it. In Cochin, Kerala, you have Cochin Shipyard Limited as such. Okay, so Cochin Shipyard Limited, this is also the shipyard which has built the first indigenous aircraft carrier of India. Okay, that is INS Vikrant. Okay, so INS Vikrant. Currently, India has two aircraft carrier. One is INS Vikramaditya. We have imported that from Russia. And second is INS Vikrant. This we have built indigenously. Which organization, which shipyard? Cochin Shipyard Limited, right? Atmanirbhar Bharat, okay, that is what it is reflection of, because we have used indigenous component, and overall we have integrated advanced system in the building of such ships and all. Littoral operations we have discussed is largely the domain of INS Mahe. What is part of littoral operation? These are given here. First of all, it has to participate in anti-submarine warfare. Anti-submarine warfare means this is the sea level. Here suppose you have the INS Mahe as such. Submarines are always moving where? Below the, what you can call as? Below the surface. So the ship is fitted with such capability that can destroy submarines after identifying it. Okay, so for example, submarines are producing sounds because the turbine rotor is rotating. So this sound, they have advanced sonars and all that, they have advanced radars and all that. The sonar signature, radar signature will be captured, and based on the location, based on the intention, okay, obviously if Pakistan Navy submarine is near Mumbai coast, okay, there is no need of even thinking about intention, you need to just, what, destroy them, right? So that is what it will participate in. Second, it will also help in what? Coastal surveillance. Like in 2008, especially after 2008, it becomes very important because we have seen terrorists entering India through sea border, okay, Maharashtra, Mumbai port they entered through. So you have to have proper surveillance so that no unregistered illegal ships or foreign vessels are entering Indian areas, zones without prior permission, due permission and all that. Third, it can also use to what? Lay mines, which is very important. Suppose there is a confirmation that China and Pakistan is going to attack the coastal regions of India. How they are going to attack? By sending ships. Suppose that, let us say theoretically, Pakistan want to capture Mumbai port of India. How will they capture? They need to send their ships and all that. So ships will have to come here again if you look here, like this. Okay, this is the Mumbai port here. So Pakistani Navy ships, Chinese Navy ships will have to approach nearby. What you can do? You can lay mines. Same way you do on the land as such. What happens when the ship comes in contact with the mines? It explodes. What will happen? The ship will be destroyed. So that is what you call as laying of mine as such. It cannot be done by all the ships. It's not something that you by hand dropping it, right? You have to properly put, okay, at the place, exact place and all that. So the laying of mine is something that can also be done by the INS Mahe as such. Underwater reconnaissance, nothing but part of anti-submarine warfare. You are trying to investigate whether any foreign ships, okay, enemy ships are moving through the underwater region or not. And overall, because of its small size, right? Small size, it will be effective where larger ships cannot operate. Again, if you remember, I told you in coastal areas water depth is what? Low. If ship is very large, it require higher depth of water. Okay, that is called as draft level. In the coastal areas, aircraft carrier cannot easily enter here. Okay, destroyers, they cannot easily enter here. But these ships are small in size, they can move in the water with a narrow depth also or lesser depth also. So that means it is effective in those areas where larger ships cannot operate. Which area? Simple, coastal areas. Okay, or for example, backwater regions that you have in Kerala. So that regions itself you can say, lake regions and all that. Specification wise, if you look, what is the length? 7,800 meters. Again, no need to remember, just to have understanding about this. Okay, 1100 tons of displacement. Displacement means simply how you measure displacement, or what does it indicate? Weight of ship. What is the weight of ship? 1,100 tons. Right. Compare that with the INS Udayagiri. Okay. We have discussed that few weeks back in the current affair class. It was inducted. Okay. It is a kind of this INS Udayagiri. Okay. We talk about. Okay. It is a corvette. Okay. Class of ship, I remember. So it has a total displacement of how many tons? So compared to that kind of ship, it is 1/6 of that. Okay, so that is why it is a small ship. Light ships can navigate in the coastal areas, small channels and all. The speed is limited 25 knots, okay, per hour. Range is 1800 meters. What does range mean? It can 1800 nautical mile, not meter. 1800 nautical miles. 1 nautical mile. We have discussed that in exclusive economic zone. Okay, that means talk about 12 nautical mile is equal to, I remember like this, 22.2 kilometers. So 1800 nautical mile you can calculate from there. So around we can say that it can move about 3000 kilometers roughly, we can imagine. What does it mean? After 3000 kilometers refueling is needed because ships are running on fuel. Okay, so there has to be refueling as such. That means it can spend how many days in the sea? 14 days, okay, based on its movement and all that. After 14 days, it has to be refueled. Again, it can carry out the journey. This is the point that I wanted to make. See here, what is the level called as? Draft level. This ships can move even when the water depth is less than 3 meters. That is very, very shallow area. Okay, and that is where the class of ships like Udayagiri, Vikrant, Vikramaditya cannot move because they require more than 10-20 meters of draft and all that. So that is why they are not suitable for the shallow region, while this ship is suitable for the shallow region as such. Okay, a few other points you try to understand why it is called as Mahe. Simple, because it is named after the town of Mahe, which is located on the Kerala coast, Malabar coast as such. Overall, I told you that this is the first ship of the Mahe class. More 7 such ships are planned to be constructed, inducted in future as such. Total 8 ships you will see in the next years in the Mahe class itself. Full induction will be possible by year 2027. The crest, the flag if we talk about of the ship is made up of sword, that is local sword of Kerala. It is kind of blade like structures. Okay, sword is not straight fixed. Okay, you can use it like a blade as such. What is the sword called as? Urmi. What does it represent? Agility, at the same time lethality, and that is what the message INS Mahe is trying to project. Okay, that it is small ship. It is kind of can navigate in the coastal area, shallow waters and all that. So it is very agile in nature, but at the same time it is fitted with such system that can prove lethal for the enemy ships as such. It can destroy them easily, okay, especially submarines and all that. So that is the point. Now why we have constructed such kind of ship? Because we are trying to replace our older fleet in Navy. Older fleet was called as Abhay class. So gradually Abhay class is more than 40-50 years old. We are trying to gradually replace them by bringing in more and more ships in the Mahe class as such, fitted with modern technology, okay, modern machineries and all that. And overall we can say it is beneficial because it strengthens the Indian Ocean submarine hunting capability as far as Indian Navy is concerned. And this is also something we have to understand in the context of Chinese naval expansion. China has begun constructing more and more number of submarines, okay, and that is why we have to develop this capacity if we want to face China later somewhere in the future as such, right? That is where it can be advantageous. Now if you look at the few of the questions, okay, we have discussed about international Big Cat Alliance as such. What is international Big Cat Alliance? Which of the statement is correct? That is what you have to identify. Initiative led exclusively by Big Cat range countries. True or false? If you remember, we have discussed it is having both range plus range country. That means this is incorrect statement. Its secretariat is located in India. True or false? True. It covers all species of the genus Panthera found globally. True or false? True. Okay, so you have all the species, 7 species you have in the Panthera, all of them are part of this. Okay, 7 species. That means which is the correct statement? Second and third. Okay, D is the right answer. Second is, which of the following correctly matches the big cat species with its natural presence in India? Okay, this is already we have discussed. What is the correct matching? One of the statements are correct here. Puma, I told you. Where is Puma found? South America, not in India. Jaguar, South America. Snow leopard, only to Himachal Pradesh? No. In Jammu, Kashmir, Uttarakhand, you will find them. What is the correct option? Cheetah. We know that recently cheetah became extinct in India. Last year, 2023. 2023, government has reintroduced them back by bringing them from South Africa and Namibia as such. Okay, so in the Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary of Madhya Pradesh, cheetah has been reintroduced in India as which kind of a species? Non-native. Why non-native? Because in India you will find Asian cheetah in the old time. Now no. Okay, earlier you would find Asian cheetah. Africa you have African cheetah. So we are introducing African cheetah in Asian region. That means which kind of species? Not native to this region. It is non-native. Okay, so non-native introduction we have seen here. Okay, then coming to the volcanism, the explosivity of volcanic eruption increases when what happens? This is something we have discussed. The classification of volcano on basis of intensity we have studied. When magma viscosity is high, gas escape is constrained, magma temperature is low. In which case, intensity or explosivity increases.
Gas escape is constrained.
Gas escape is constrained, then?
And magma viscosity is low.
Magma viscosity is high. Then, what about third? Magma temperature is low or high? No, if viscosity is high, that means explosive eruption, because magma is moving at slow rate. Gases will be able to build more and more pressure below it, and finally when it erupts, gases will expand suddenly, causing massive explosion. If magma is very less viscous, means it is very runny in nature, it is easily finding its way out. Gases will not have enough pressure itself. Okay, that is why explosion is limited. Okay, so magma viscosity is higher, gas escape is constrained. This also is true. Okay, we have two types of magma basically, or lava, Aa lava and Pahoho lava. Right. So in the case of Aa lava, temperature is less, about 800 degrees Celsius. So if magma temperature is low, in that case magma is moving at slow rate. It is nothing but basically this point is connected. If magma temperature is low, viscosity will be what? High. What is melting? Melting is when you are providing temperature, heat. If you provide more heat, what will happen? Molecules will move at a faster rate. If you provide less heat, molecules will move at a slow rate. Slow rate means more viscous. More viscous means resistant to flow. Resistant to flow means higher gaseous pressure. Higher gaseous pressure means explosive eruption. That means what should be the correct answer? D. Okay, 1, 2, 3. In all of the cases, you will see increased explosivity, okay, of volcanic eruption. Okay, now coming to the relevance or the importance of each of topic. So first of all, what do we have? Mount Semeru, okay, which is the most important topic of this particular week. Okay, we talk about. Why? Because it is directly related to your topic. Topic means syllabus. We have to study about what? Extensively we have discussed about volcanism. Okay, and I told you that you have to keep on adding examples of active volcano. We have described volcanoes active, dormant, extinct. So Mount Semeru you can add there because it is recently in news. So we have to focus on learning of concept, reasons behind volcanic eruption, also associated with what? Disaster management part. Okay, also it is part of which unit? Geomorphology. So both prelims based question, mains based question, interview based question can be easily framed from them. That is why we have given it 5-star, relevant for all the stages of examination. Okay, and this you will see UPSC panelists did not refer to books before taking interview. They are referring to what? Newspapers and all that. Newspapers, there will be news of Mount Semeru. They will know that in geography you have to study about volcanism. So they will read something about it, they will ask question related to that. Where is it located? It can be as simple as that. Okay, where is Mount Semeru located? Java island of Indonesia. Okay, explosive or non-explosive? Explosive eruption, right? That is the point. Big cat alliance, very important because environment based questions are asked in prelims examination from this topic. This is relevant for which examination? B. So factual points you have to keep in mind. Which country is leading Big Cat Alliance? Okay, what are the species that are covered under Big Cat Alliance? Okay, or the International Big Cat Alliance and all that. So factual question. Solar storm again is important, 4-star, because it is related to astronomy part of your geography as such. We have discussed solar storm, coronal mass ejection, auroras and all that. And earlier UPSC have asked questions about this also. They have given 5-6 options and you have to pick up what can be the possible consequences of solar storms or coronal mass ejection as such. Okay, so relevant for both prelims examination where you have to focus on effect mechanism, mains examination based question can be asked because in space science you have to study in science technology part. Okay, so that is also where it is relevant. Ambaji marble, okay, not very important, but you had to just keep in mind because GI tax you have to study in UPSC syllabus. So the recent items which have received GI tax, questions based on that can be asked. And remember 2016 or 15 maybe if I am forgetting. The question was asked where 5 different items were given. Question was simply that which of these items have received GI tax in the recent years, right? So they added, for example, Darjeeling tea. Darjeeling tea got very old, okay, 1970s, 1980s. I think the first GI tag in India was given to Darjeeling tea and all. So you have to find out in last 1-2 years, these are the recent one. So Ambaji marble, that is how questions can be framed here. INS Mahe, not very relevant, just keep that in mind. Okay, basically what you have to just keep in mind here, what kind of ship is it, what kind of capability India is trying to build as far as this induction of this ship is concerned as such. Plus you can add pointer in mains here and there if you remember, like when talking about the defense indigenization or modernization or building up of naval capacity and all that, you can write that INS Mahe is being designed as a separate class itself. So that is how we can understand all this topic. That's all about this particular week itself, the 5 major topics we have covered.